Ghana is likely going to, as a matter of urgency, make decision on a letter written to it by CAF to host the AFCON, that is the African Cup of Nations, that is if Morocco pulls out or not. And we want to listen to the president. Well, after the president, you have a 1-minute rebuttal to whatever he said, and then we'll try to continue. Yeah, be shocked, be shocked. But this is what we're bringing to you. The president's comment on whether government will take a decision on hosting the African Cup of Nations, just in case Morocco pulls out of the tournament for January.
AFCON, Morocco has not pulled out, and they issued a statement yesterday that they have not pulled out. They are still the ones on track to host it. What they're asking CAF for is to postpone the date that is scheduled for AFCON. Because all of us are subject to the guidelines of the World Health Organization. And if there is a threat that there could be a transmission of disease as a result of an international gathering, CAF itself would have to consider. What CAF said was that they were insisting that Morocco should hold it on the same day because Morocco had not justified sufficiently why they wanted a postponement. And so they were sending a team to Morocco to discuss with Morocco. And if they felt that Morocco was unjustifiably, asking for that postponement, then they were looking at alternative countries. And so they sent requests to some countries if they were willing to host. Ghana was one, South Africa was one, I don't know which other countries. And we have not accepted to host. We said we've received a request from CAF to host if Morocco decides to pull out. As I just said, Morocco has not pulled out. And so that is not even an issue. But we also must make an assessment. We are bidding for 2017. And I believe that by 2017, we will be ready in terms of the facilities and all that. The time is short between now and January when the thing should be hosted. And so if we decided to host, we have to look at issues of accommodation for players. There's a lot of work that should be done before that AFCON is hosted. And I believe that we also need to look at the health issues. And so consulting with the health authorities, which is what the minister explained to me, that even if we wanted to host, we'll have to find out from our health authorities what the level of threat to us is. And so we haven't taken a decision to host. I am the president of Ghana. I chair cabinet. No such decision has been taken by cabinet advising me to accept to host. And so we will, I think we must coordinate this issue better so that Ghanaians understand exactly what is going on.
And I love the president phrase. He thinks we must coordinate this issue better and communicate it adequately, make sure Ghanaians know what's going on. And I believe that then you don't even need a rebuttal to whatever he said. So you go straight away to make comments on the president.
Well, you are the anchor man, so whatever you decide I do.
But you can have a minute. You can have a minute. You can have a minute. Okay.
I'll leave the rest of the viewers.
All right.
Well, I shouldn't be debating my brother on the subject of corruption. I think
and actually, I don't want the two of you making, because some of the phrases you're using against each other.
No, for us in NDC, I think that it is really wrong for us to engage MPP when it comes to the subject of corruption. Let's leave that to of this country. The question is, of the two administrations we've been in power, which of the administrations is more transparent when it comes to the subject of corruption? Which government has shown commitment? And what corruption hates, you can check all the research. Everybody will tell people study corruption and no one will tell you what it hates most is to throw sunlight on it. Which administration has been so open, less exposed, less name and shame, less punish? You see, for a moment, my brothers behave as though we are in a military regime. They've forgotten that we are in a democratic dispensation where people must be allowed to go through the full process of the law. You cannot sit in your house and imagine that because person A is involved in a corrupt act, we should go and bangle him and go and throw him in jail somewhere. This national service issue that he's talking about, if I were to be him, I will never mention it. This is something that came to the notice of His Excellency the President. He invited his security apparatus, the BN, and said, listen, this is what I've heard. Can you go in there, investigate, and bring out the information? They brought the information out. Now they come and sit and accuse the same person and accuse this government who have been this bold and courageous. I'll leave that to our viewers. Let me come to the subject of this. I think that the Ebola issue, the president has really shown much commitment, not only to Ghana, the whole of West Africa, the West of Africa. When he had the opportunity recently, at the General Assembly in the United States of America, he made a call to the whole world that Ebola is no longer a West Africa case or Liberia or Guinea or Senegal case. It's a case that all of us might be part of. I have a difficulty, I have a bias when it comes to talking about this whole Ebola issue, where it has come from, blah, 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 how suddenly it has become our sickness alone, how people from America can get it and they can be cured, and a Liberian can get to America and he will die, he cannot be cured. I am not too sure about a lot of things about it. This government is very, very responsible. We, at all times, will take a decision that we think is in the supreme interest of the people of this country. CAF has made a proposal to us. We are not a rubber stamp. We are not a zombie where they tell us go and host a tournament and they will not do the necessary consultation and just get up and say, we are happy, we want to host it. To host a tournament, first of all, we want to find out, do you have a standing team, a team that can host and win? Do you have the facilities? As we speak now, you have problems with electricity and all that. Can we not assure ourselves that we can get regular electricity? Because most of them must be playing the night and all that. Do we have the hotels, the sports avenue, the training pitches and all that? Can we do that within November, December, January and host a tournament? So all this will be put on board. The issue of Ebola, we cannot run away from it. Remember, we were supposed to play Guinea in Guinea, but because of the Ebola issue, they had to shift their match to Morocco. We went there. Morocco was supposed to host the tournament. They allowed us to come and play the match over there. But the tournament proper, they said no, they want to protect their people, they don't want to do it. They have made a proposal to us. Like the president said, he chairs cabinet. No sad decision has been taken at cabinet. They are still looking at the option because we have made a proposal to CAF that want to hold the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations. We're only hoping and praying that by that time, this Ebola issue would have been brought under control. If you look at CAF in the face now and tell them, hey, we will not host with impunity. Meanwhile, you, the same person, you are bidding for the 2017, your team is out there campaigning and lobbying and doing all those things. How does it play out? So the diplomacy must come in. Not as if you are rejecting, okay, we'll do. That's what is happening. This we shouldn't discuss them on radio and television. I want to just assure the people of this country that President Mahama and his government will take the decision that is in the supreme interest of this country. We will not take any decision that will jeopardize the lives of the people of this country. So they should be rest assured.
Oh, your reaction to the president's comment?
Sure. I'm happy that Fred said they won't debate with us when it comes to corruption.
We're talking about President Mahama. You've had your 10.
I've had my 10. I know.
So let's close the subject.
I was just mentioning that
President Mahama on CAF.
Sure.
And Ebola.
Sure. I mean, we had 162
Ibrahim.
state-owned companies that were sold to
Ibrahim.
themselves. But coming to President Mahama, in terms of what Honorable Mahama Yariga said over the weekend, I'm happy that that statement, because it seemed as if we were readying ourselves to host, has been debunked to a large extent by President Mahama. It's important.
Mr. Yariga, what did he say?
I think the allusions that he was making is that we may consider, you know, hosting the...
is that what he said? Did he say we may consider, or he said the government was taking a look at the various factors like health, in terms of what the indicators would be before a decision is taken?
Made, yes. But I mean, the import of his
But you're saying they may consider. That's
yes, I mean, his import... let's look at it diametrically with what the South Africans said.
They outrightly said...
Thank you.
So
where you have one country saying that, no, we won't take it, then you have another country saying, we'll look at these particular factors. I think it's within the purview of most Ghanaians to think that, South Africa is saying no, but our minister is looking at ways in which we can accommodate this request. So I think if I use the word consider... It's
a lobbying style.
Hold on.
I didn't get it.
No, you say that it's a lobbying style, but I don't think that when it comes to Ghanaians' health, you should lobby and gamble with our health. You're saying you're lobbying. Is that room to lobbying?
2017, that's the point I'm making.
I don't think CAF would somehow look at our candidacy to host in 2017 to say that you refused us in 2015. Given what is happening.
Do you know that they've taken decisions on who hosts 2019 and 2021?
Sure.
Libya pulled out of the 2017.
You know,
that is why the
it's important because you say, it's a lobbying stance. And I'm saying to my good friend, my brother here, that this is no time to be lobbying. Posture. No, it's a wrong posture. Why? It's a wrong, because what you're trying to do...
But the president's comments seem to have...
Yes, I think the statement...
Because he's the overall, so once he said it, it supersedes whatever any minister has said.
Absolutely. And I like I'm saying, don't gamble with our lives for the sake of 2017. That is a lobbying posture. You know, Ghanaians would prefer integrity, whereby you put us first and say, look...
But your comments, how do you just suppose that what the president said?
What I'm saying, that in terms of what the
president says...
What the president has said, I'm in agreement with that. That one I'm in agreement with. I'm talking about what Fred said earlier on, that it's it's diplomacy and you can't say. I don't think government will come and somehow tell CAF, go away, you there. They'll just tell you, as South Africa have said, we can't host it for these reasons, period. I don't think that the government...
Hold on.
No, you're trying to...
You
are trying to couch it, Fred, that the reason why we haven't come out emphatically and categorically to say no is because we have our eye on 2017 and there's a diplomatic maneuvers to be made.
Let me ask you.
I'm saying that's wrong.
Let me ask you this. The president is it the chairman of ECOWAS? Okay. Do you think that he has a certain responsibility in outwardly the way he tends to communicate this to the sub-regional community, the continental community, and the international community?
Oh yes, totally. Which is why I said to you.
So, of what interest does ECOWAS have? Does he, as the chairman of ECOWAS, have, and as a country, we have towards this?
Yes. In terms of being the chair of ECOWAS, and making sure that you present ECOWAS in a good light, you can have that integrity as the chairman of ECOWAS and representing the West African states by putting your case forward. I don't think it's a case of let us somehow cover up the threat that Ebola represents and somehow continue to present, let's say, a good face forward for the international community.
But do you know the international community seems to have labeled West Africa as a region for which you can't even visit. And this, according to the World Bank, would have enormous implications on growth for the current fiscal year as we're closing, and the one that we're likely to enter the next few quarters.
Absolutely. I mean, the hysteria is I think we had President Obama speaking about it over the weekend.
So if we hosted, wouldn't it have given an indication that even though we're having all these challenges, you can still live in West Africa?
No, do you see, the point is this. If, like I'm saying, that if you're going to gamble people's lives,
that's gamble.
No, hold on. Yes, it is. Okay. For the sake of some political largesse, then
that's political.
No,
all right, Ibrahim. Now you've brought politics. So
my brother.
No, when I said no,
my brother.
I hope you're not saying that.
No, not the political largesse.
You are finished. Yeah, stop you.
No.
If you go to Liberia,
let me correct
we cannot conclude that everybody who lives in Liberia is infected with Ebola.
Good.
Yes.
If you go to Sierra Leone,
that's the position.
If you go to Guinea, it's not everybody who lives in that country that's been affected.
Because indeed, the numbers pale against the national population. But the fact is that the rate of infection is very high and fatality.
That's right.
So that makes it a public health issue, serious public health issue.
When this thing happened, people even in Liberia, some were running away from Liberia, running away from
even ministers.
Our president, even ministers, our president, because he's the ECOWAS chairman, he went to Liberia, he went to Sierra Leone, he went to Guinea. He was the only president that went to the United Nations Assembly to make a strong case for the West to come on board in fighting the Ebola issue. So President Mahama has a dual responsibility when it comes to this whole debate about Ebola. One, that is the chairman of ECOWAS. Two, is the president of Ghana. The man has said that his cabinet has not taken any such decisions yet. And we are saying that it will be very dangerous. South Africa can come out and say, well, we are not hosting the tournament. It ends there. They are not part of our sub-region, first of all. They just hosted the tournament. They don't have anything in sight within a year or two from CAF again. So they can say anything they want to say.
Fred,
but we in Ghana...
Fred, this very question.
Yes.
This very question. We're all not a public health official.
That's right.
We don't have any health background, etc.
Oh, you don't know his background?
No. Now, I would want to know if a tournament is hosted in any country in Africa for 2015, in this very crisis, the current difficulties we're facing with Ebola, what danger does it pose to the country and the people who are likely to attend to the event?
My personal view on this whole issue is that CAF should call 2015 Africa Cup of Nations off.
Correct.
That is my personal view. No country should host it. We should fight the menace. If everything is settled, 2017, we move on. What do we have to lose if we don't host Africa Cup of Nations in 2015?
Our money
we have nothing to lose as a continent. We have nothing to lose. Well, we have already been doing it.
We won't even
put
together a committee.
That's right.
After.
Well, those are your words.
They are my words.
Yeah, don't add them to mine. The point I'm making is that we have nothing to lose. You say your man, you see the man's mischief, but forgive him. He's selling money.
There's no mischief.
It's mischief. You see, I think that we should just call it off. That's because there's a problem. Because truth be told, apart from the Ebola and the rest, I don't, in my heart of hearts, think that where we sit now as a country, we are prepared to hold the tournament in 3 months. No. Because there's so much that goes into holding of a tournament. It's not a child's play. There's so much that goes into it. These our stadiums are not in the best of shapes. Electricity issue that I mentioned to you, our hotels, our roads, our training pitches, our everything.
In government, is this receiving some mixed reviews? Just like you also seem to be expressing some other diverse views.
You see, I am sad I am saying this again on television. The Minister of Youth and Sports knows what he's doing. He knows what it's about. Whatever information he puts out there in the public domain, he knows what he's saying. The president has come to allay the fears of Ghanaians. If people misunderstood what the minister said earlier, there's nothing.
Actually, the minister didn't say. There was an interpretation of media reports that he didn't categorically say that the government was going to host.
No.
Okay. Now, at what point do we say we're playing diplomacy with an international issue? This is an international relations issue. At what point do we say we're playing? Because, for example, if an ambassador is involved in an altercation with a country which you have your representation or you have strong relationships with, there's a way of dealing with it, and they have a way of dealing with it. Do you think that the position and the posture of government currently is also just on the same path, making sure, well, the decisions we take and the utterances we make don't tend to give negative signals to the outside world, or even among themselves, they don't want to host it because they know that this is a disease by which
just look at the larger picture, brother.
There'll be the lack of habitation within a period of hosting a tournament.
Well, yes, definitely diplomacy has to come in, Roland. But look at the fact that, in fact, within West Africa alone, let's not try and think that we are a standalone nation, or that what we say is not being interpreted with other factors being also considered. You have, in fact, Côte d'Ivoire, and the Côte d'Ivoire government actually now manning the border with Guinea, which is already within the international press that, yes, even within Africa.
But that's in the interest of Côte d'Ivoire and the rest of the West African
That's it, because I was putting it in the context that you're saying that we need to somehow be diplomatic in how we communicate our concerns about Ebola to the international community. Otherwise, the international community will say, look, even the West Africans themselves, they're against it. And I'm saying that that information is already out there. That genie has already left the bottle, because you have Côte d'Ivoire saying to the international community that we are now policing our borders, no matter how porous they are. Likewise, Senegal too is doing the same. So I don't think that the international community would think, hey, somehow the ECOWAS chair...
But don't you think that what Côte d'Ivoire is doing is in line with whatever measures that ECOWAS has? Because, for example, if we have Liberia, we have Guinea, we have Sierra Leone, and these countries countries sharing direct borders. Don't you think if, let's say, we had an infection in Côte d'Ivoire or Burkina Faso, or let's say Togo, the Ghana Armed Forces and the other paramilitary groups that we have would have strongly, so that we don't even have infections in Ghana that will cross Côte d'Ivoire. So it's almost like what our people would do, our security agencies would do, is being done by Côte d'Ivoire.
Absolutely.
And what our security agencies would do is also being done by the military people in Senegal.
Roland, it's a communal responsibility.
That's right.
It's about containment.
And it's all because of the efforts of the ECOWAS president, or the ECOWAS chairman.
Sure. I mean, everybody's involved here. Everybody's involved in terms of making sure that there's a containment. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, in terms of, she's making sure that there's no mass hysteria. But again, they're putting in, as best as they can, protocols and measures to contain the virus.
So what if the tournament takes place?
Let me just quickly add that even within Liberia, there's now an edict, if that's the right word. There's a law whereby you can't have more than 4 people sharing a taxi, just to make sure that at least human contact is minimized.
Even it's dangerous still, having even 2 people in the taxi.
Sure, but I mean,
because I hear you when you sneeze.
You sneeze.
Exactly.
Even your sweat.
So the point I'm making here, Roland, the point I'm making...
Even you don't even have to get in touch. For example, this very leather chair, your sweat touches it, I come later.
That's it.
That's the rate.
It's not airborne, but once you're in touch with the person's secretions, fluids, and then that's that. I mean, we had the case of in Texas, the nurse was wearing hazmat, the hazardous material suits, and she still contracted it, even with all that protection. But the point that I was making, because you were asking me initially, Roland, that in terms of the diplomacy, the language we use, the ECOWAS chair, President Mahama, we need to be careful how we communicate the Ebola situation because of how its consequences in the international community. And the response I gave you, and I think Fred borne me out, and then you yourself agreed to what the import of what I was saying, that let's not think that what President Mahama says now will somehow change the equation, quote unquote, because the international community already know that even within Africa, we are taking measures to contain it.
But you don't affirm it by your actions and utterances. They may have that perception already. And of course, every reasonable human being, every reasonable country should be careful and want to protect himself against a thing like that.
So the diplomacy is important. The language that is used is important, because otherwise the consequences are beyond just the life ones, which is the most important, but economically as well. You know, we have an integrated economy. When Cote d'Ivoire stops trading, it affects us in Elubu. If Togo stops trading for whatever reason, Aflao, and of course, and I can go on and on and on.
We are all from Nigeria through Benin.
We are all integrated.
Okay, we hear that next month the ECOWAS chairman has called for an emergency meeting again on Ebola here in Accra. So we'll see how that goes. We know that these meetings are also attended by the partners, WHO, the US CDC, as well as we're having agency from various research universities around the world, UK and the rest of the EU countries as we have them. So we hope that we'll get a better response to what we're getting. But I think so far it's not been bad as far as containment is concerned. But it's just that the escalation of the pandemic itself has been quite
did you hear that
widespread.
American doctor? I don't know if you have seen that video where he's alleging that the virus was created by America. He's an American himself. I don't know if you have read.
Yes, on social media.
But
I think some of these things also, we also need to be very much careful as far as the general media, how we tend to also project these. They're always conspiracy theories, in my opinion.
But you know,
Roland, I don't think
Roland,
that as a factor.
I just want to add something. Fred makes a good point. When you look at, in terms of the history of human medicine and disease, and you see that certain diseases have just come up in this 20th, 21st century or so, then you have to
some of them may be because of bio.
Sure.
You mean?
Sure.
Some research activity that may have escalated into something else.
But the point that was also made is that we know that they often use animals within research facilities.
But to get some more efficacy, then they need to.
Sure, no, but I just want to make the link. That, but not that it's a conspiracy per se. Let's say they use mice, chimpanzees, gorillas, bats for trials of vaccines. And then if you have humans and consuming those inadvertently, that's where the cross-contamination comes into place. Whether or not
under quarantine, then the research is undertaken, or sometimes one may escape and go to the wild.
I mean, they will release them after the research.
You know, and you don't know what happens within the animal body.
That leads to some evolution of
something that may not be airborne with us. I mean, the avian flu is airborne. You know, SARS is airborne. Okay, which happens in China and Japan rather. But with some things are airborne, so maybe within the animal genome, so to speak, it can actually then cross-contaminate. But between you and I, that airborne, the disease itself collapses in air and can only be done through water or secretions. But it's an important point to
highlight. So that's where our discussions end this morning. And Fred, I know you're contesting Deputy National Propaganda position of the NDC. How's that going so far?
Well,
how many delegates will be voted?
Close to 4,000 plus delegates, yes.
Electing that very position?
That's right.
Nationally?
Yes.
Oh, that's huge.
Everybody has a huge number. They need to go around all the constituencies in the country.
So far, how are you faring? Who are you contesting the position with?
Well, I have about some 3 other people are contesting.
Okay.
So, yeah, still watching.
Do you have an incumbent?
No.
Okay.
There's no incumbent in there. The difficult really is the resources. So if you're going to write a check, I wouldn't mind.
Won't be bad. I think you're sending a bad signal out there that to contest you need money.
No, but the point is this: you need to fuel your vehicle to move from here to Tamale.
Okay,
to work.
in those respects, then you need help. I think that then we need to appeal to the multinationals and things like that to help Fred so that he can win his deputy propaganda secretaryship position as far as the next contest of the NDC is concerned. And Fred Agbenyo is a member of the NDC. Thanks for joining me, Fred. Thanks for the opportunity. He's mischievous. Sometimes he's accusing me of things that I don't have anything to do with.
Yeah, the only person I can do.
Okay, Ibrahim Ajay is a member of the MPP as well. In 2008, was one of the spokespeople for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Got lost in 2012, but has resurfaced prior to 2016.
How do you mean resurface?
Okay, we're taking a break now. We'll be right back.